Hello and welcome back. I'm down the woodshed and I'm on the second stage of sanding. Not the first stage, which is shaping and roughing out the hiking stick to get it to the point you can then do the finishing sanding. I've got 3 stages of sanding. That would be, as I've just described, the roughing out and sanding out the shape that I want, and that would be a really coarse or heavy grade of sandpaper coupled with bladed tools or files. And then the second stage is pretty much what I'm doing here, going down through the grades mechanically, starting at 240, 320, 360, and then I move on to the hand sanding, which is the third stage. The second stage is quite important because that will be the actual sanding, which I will do to remove most of the processing marks, or the first stage, which I'm shaping. In some regards, I don't overcook this stage. I do like to leave some sort of evidence of processing. It does add a little bit of charm, and it gives my brand of Folklore hiking sticks a little bit of that rural feel. But I can't basically just leave it as it is, as I've just cut it and it looks like somebody's just pulled it straight out of the farmyard. I have to go through a process to make it acceptable to the customer. The hand sanding bit is where basically I'm taking the wood down to a point, or the bark, where I feel confident that to me it feels and looks like a finished item. It's been finished off. You can spend a lifetime polishing and sanding and still never feel you've done what or achieved a look that you're after. So there comes a point you do actually have to step back from it and go, that's it, that's as far as I'm going to go. But today I'm going to just show you my second stage of sanding, and I'll discuss what I'm doing and how it's working, and I'll bring you guys along with me while I do that, and I'll talk you through what I'm doing or trying to achieve while I'm doing it. Right then guys, if you've been with me for a while, you will know I use this bench and a drill with a sanding pad and disc, and I do have a guard that I put over the top, primarily to stop dust, but it does protect me against things flying off and hitting me. I won't be using it because quite simply I'm going to be showing you trying to show you what I'm doing, what I'm trying to achieve, and you can actually watch what I'm doing. But think safety, don't copy, use tools appropriately as they should be used, but you will see me wearing goggles, respirator and ear defense, but always think safety and do things properly. I'm going to put the guard on, so if you haven't been with me before, you can see what I'm talking about as far as what I do with a guard. So you can see this is a less than perfect setup. I don't have unfettered access. I have to move from left to right, and also in some occasions move the guard and offset it so I can get access to actually sand how I want to sand. But I work with what I've got, and yeah, I make it happen. Now the first thing I learned and found out, not all backing plates are equal. Now they all come in various different sizes, as you could probably gather, but different hardnesses and flexibility. Now that doesn't sound that important, I suppose, to somebody who's not into like doing a lot of sanding, but once you start sanding hiking sticks, you realise if it's too hard, your backing plate, you can't apply pressure on curves and divots without cutting grooves into other parts of the stick. If it's too soft, you won't be able to apply pressure like on knots to actually get some meaningful sanding to remove them or shape them. So it has to be that happy medium. And I spent a lot of time and a little bit of money playing around with different manufacturers' backing plates for my sanding discs. I have found one that I'm happy with. So as you can see, it's the happy medium for me, where I can use it to gently sand and allow a lot of pressure to actually do some real hard shaping. Now, one of the most important things that I did learn very quickly is you have to keep that wood turning. You have to keep it moving. As soon as you slow down or you actually hold it on one spot for too long, you are altering the profile of that stick. You're taking away more wood than you need to, and in some cases it's irreversible. You cannot pull that shape that you originally intended back, and the whole stick takes on a new look, a new feel, and it may not feel right or look right to the eye. Now you can clearly see here on the right hand side that I have wood that needs to be shaped, and I need all those flat spots taken out. They're processing marks from when I took the bark out, and also when I was shaping this piece of wood. So as I work my way through the sanding disc, you can see I'm keeping it turning. I'm not trying to overdo one particular area and not trying to be too enthusiastic, thinking if I hold it there longer and harder, I'm going to actually save time and do a better job. It requires finesse, it requires just gentle turning. You're working the wood. You're not actually trying to shape it at this point with files, rasps and any bladed tool. You're sanding, so you need to get in that mindset. Now you can see I'm going to change down to a smaller grade of sandpaper, or a finer grade of sandpaper or disc. What that's going to now allow me to do is take out even more of the processing marks, but not only that, the marks from that first initial sand where I was actually taking out the bulk of the wood that I wanted. There will be some scratch marks from that, but this here, I'm moving down through the grades now, and I'm trying to actually polish that wood. I'm not trying to get it down to the 600 grade and beyond that. That will be my hand sanding, what I do when I hand sand. All I'm doing here is getting it to the point that I feel ready to move on to that hand sanding part of the process. Now obviously when you're sanding a bark and stick, it adds a whole new degree of complexity, because basically you're trying to preserve the bark. So obviously you're not going to start on the harder grits. You're always going to come at it as light as you can get away with, so you can preserve the bark. But you still want to be able to take off any flaky or lifting parts of bark. My hiking sticks where I use or leave bark on, 9 times out of 10 I still have exposed patches of wood to do wood burning. That's my style. So that throws in another degree of complexity for me, because I still have to polish out the hard sapwood underneath, but yet still leave enough bark for it to be classified as a bark stick. Now one thing to be aware of if you're mechanically sanding in the same sort of manner as me is a phenomenon called burnout, and that's where your sanding disc becomes possibly wore out or clogged with sawdust, and you're applying too much pressure. The wood will actually burn. It will fuse itself to the sanding disc, and what will happen is you'll get friction burns on the wood, and it can ruin a really nice sanding job, and you'll have to go back to the drawing board. At its worst case scenario, reshape, but at its best, you've wasted some time and you've now got to go back and start the sanding out process again. So be very careful. Soon as you smell or feel that you've got any kind of wood burning or burnout happen, stop, change your discs, or stop applying too much pressure. Now, when sanding out your handle, crown, lanyard holes, or any bits of technical work on a stick, you always have to be careful that you don't split or bust out wood. So always try to go slow and gentle on these parts of the stick. As you can see, my crown is a peaked one, but all I'm trying to do now is just very gently sand that out. Any fine work or more detailed work I'll do when I'm hand sanding. I'll incorporate that. But you can see I just do not want to split out any of those lanyard holes as well. As you can see here, with 2 hands either side, I'm able to apply equal pressure to that stick. But inevitably, sanding discs do fail, and I've had to replace that one. But you can see where I actually sanded on this one, and as you come down the stick, you will see some flat areas that I do need to work out. Now, it is tempting to look at those flat areas and think, if I just hold that sanding disc that little bit longer on that area, I'll take the high points off and then I can rotate it. But experience has taught me, slow and gentle and keep that wood moving. That will give you your best results, as I'm doing here. Now, sanding is a long, laborious task. Believe you me, I've spent many of an hour sanding sticks, more than I care to remember. But if it's done right, it will feel right. And if it feels right, you're happy then to sell on to the customer. Right, these 5 here, I'm going to now do the finishing and do it all by hand. This will be hand sanded now, and also to clean out the hand grooves. So that's another stage, and that's another video and another topic for another time. Right then, I'm actually going to crack on and get these hand sanded. I've got probably another hour and a half tops to get these hand sanded to the point I can put the copper tips on, do the wood burning and apply the finishing product. It's quite a laborious task going from, you know, start to finish, particularly if you're doing it in any kind of quantity or volume. And if you add up all the time, not just in the crafting, wood burning and the rest of it, this sanding, you can see it takes its time. And if you add up the amount of time involved in each hiking stick, I'm on less than minimum wage. But that's just what it is, and it's what, you know, I'm used to it, so it makes no difference to me now. It's what I do. But yeah, I'm going to crack on with those. I've just brought you through this part of the sanding process and just shown you how I do it and my thoughts behind it. Like I always say, think safety. I've just shown you without the guard, just for the purposes that you can actually see, you know, what's going on, and as I talked you through it. But yeah, thanks for coming along. Take care.